What's up, people? Welcome back to the Black City Pod. It's very impressed that we made it to the second episode. As usual, I'm your host, Steven, and I have my co-host with me, David.
Yes, we made it to episode 2, and there's just so much stuff to talk about. Really excited to get into more TCG.
I mean, we picked a fantastic time to do it. There's, like you said, there's so much stuff going on that we can't fit it all in this one episode. Couldn't fit in the first one either, but we decided to just extend an hour above our time. So
I don't know if you want to get right into it or any show things we need to get out the way. House cleaning.
No, because nothing's concrete. That's the problem.
Okay.
We're gonna say one thing ends up changing, and I know I do it all the time. So probably best if we let the audience figure out along with us. It's a learning journey.
Exactly.
Yeah. You must be.
Well, I actually want to. I want to actually go back to April when Pokemon Company announced the.
Before we get into the show, can I just hop on my soapbox real quick?
Oh, go for it.
Okay, so we were gonna record yesterday, so the story is kind of foggy in my head, but the other day I was like, I want to, because now I'm doing all this recording stuff. I was like, well, maybe I should start like making some extra content on the side as well. So I went to open some Pokemon cards, and I'm kind of a cheapskate, so I was trying to find where I can get some cards for really cheap. I don't care what the packs were going to be in it because at this point, like everything's super cheapo. I'm not chasing anything in particular. So I go to GameStop because GameStop's got deals all the time, right? And every time, I swear, every time I go to GameStop, it is impossible for me to walk in there and just walk out because two things always happen. Either I go in there and they don't have what I need after I look up and down the store, or I have a question to ask them about if they have the thing or not, and I get stuck behind someone who has like the one tiny little item but managed to waste like 30 minutes of everyone's time because they can't figure out something. Right, they can't figure something out. So I get there.
Amiibo cards or something.
Oh my god! I mean, it was pretty close, right? Because I get there and I was like, all right, cool. I was like walking. By the way, the only people in that store were dads and their one son. And I'm like, I don't know. There was like 3 sets of dads with their one son. I was like, okay, whatever. This is really odd.
Prime clientele.
Yeah, I was like, we're just gonna roll with it. So I'm looking for the Pokemon cards because GameStop had a sale where you can buy the cards for like 50% off. I'm like, oh, cool. I can go buy some Crown Cena for like super cheap. So I get in there. I'm looking for it. Of course, they don't have any of the product on the shelves at all. I'm like, all right, cool, great. So I got to ask a staff member. But like as soon as I start to do so, somebody walks in and they beeline to the register. I'm like, all right, that's cool, fine. I can wait. I can pretend I'm browsing the Switch games that I know I'm not going to buy, but I can wait. So I start listening. So of course, like I'm kind of eavesdropping in because I'm just sitting here waiting. So I have nothing better to do. And the dad is in there, or dad or older brother, I can't tell. But they're like, oh, we want to sell some games. Like, all right, cool, no problem. So they got Pokemon Arceus. I'm like, all right, cool. More Pokemon fans. That's all great. And then they're doing the whole process, and the dad is like, so I heard that there's a new Pokemon game coming out. Can you guys pre-order that? It's Pokemon Horizons. I'm like, Pokemon Horizons? No! What are you talking about? And then, so the kid goes, Dad, that's the TV show. There's no game. But then the dad's like, no, there's a game attached to, that's coming out alongside the anime. Like it's gonna be really cool. Japan's been talking about it. Have you guys heard about it? Talking to the GameStop person now, and the GameStop guys, I don't know what you're talking about. Like we haven't heard anything about that. Japan usually gets stuff before us. It's like no, I'm sure that you guys get pre-orders though, right? So there's just some guy who has, doesn't know what he's talking about. And like it sucks for me because like me being a nerd, it's like man, I just want to just go up there and be like actually. That's the anime show. Your son's correct, and you are a loser. But so they're sitting there. I'm like, all right, cool, whatever.
Google search, by the way.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like, you could have just searched before you got in there. Like, the GameStop guy is not like the video game. I hate that. People come up in there and they're talking to the staff like they know about every video game you've ever played.
Like they made the damn thing.
Not to say like this dude this dude plays like COD or maybe he plays an RPG, but he's not playing everything. You might get the one guy who plays everything, and they're cool, but let them tell you. You know, like don't.
Don't walk in there assuming they just have all the answers.
Yeah, don't ask the Xbox Live vet if he knows about the latest Pokemon game. He's just gonna make fun of you gets off the clock. I'm sorry. Like
Yeah, or the middle aged man who's just like trying to make ends meet with his part time GameStop job.
Or right, the JOB man. I needed something.
This was local enough.
I need to pay for my car bill. It's in the shop, so I got the next best thing. Type of V. Come on.
So I just walk here.
Yeah. So I'm like, all right, whatever. So I'm in line now, waiting for them to finish their spiel, and they go and decide to buy a game. I'm like, all right, this will be real quick and easy. Just put the thing in there, and the kid wanted to pay, and then the dad's like, no, I'll cover it this time. So he puts his card in, right? Doesn't work. Tries to tap, doesn't work. Tries to chip again, doesn't work. It's like, it's just not reading it. What's going on? It's like, all right. And then the cashier guy pulls it out. And he just looks at it. I was like, oh, it's kind of dirty. I could see the gunk on the chip. It was so gross. So he starts rubbing it off. And he tries it. Of course, it doesn't work. And then eventually the kid was like, let's just use my card. I was like, this kid's like 5, by the way. I'm like, why do you have a debit card? What's going on here?
He's living the dream.
Yeah. So, they get everything worked out, and they get everything solved. They get out the store and everything. I go up, hey, do you have this product? Yeah, no, we don't. Then I left. That was it.
Typical GameStop fashion. We had to fail you on your way in and out.
Right, exactly. So, I didn't get anything from GameStop. I went to another GameStop, bought some Paldea Evolved, and I didn't get shit from it. So, but oh, also, the thing I was trying to buy, you had to buy it online. You couldn't do it in store. So even if they had it, I couldn't buy it from them for the deal. So totally wasted my time.
You ran that dad. You need to use Google a bit more.
I was on the website. It says pro price, discount, and nowhere does it say order online. It just nowhere does it say that. It just says this is a deal.
I get their. I'm on their email list, and
right.
They just told me, "Here's the sale. Come by at GameStop." Like, it doesn't say if it's in or out.
Yeah. So I don't know how they stay in business. Because, I can't be the only one walking in there, walking out without making a purchase. It's very frustrating. Yeah.
Well, I assume, not to stick on the GameStop thing, but I assume a lot of their profit is strictly from, merch and
pre-orders.
Merch pre-orders, memberships for digital magazines that AI writes. There's not a lot going on in there.
Yeah. But hopefully it stays that way. It's fine. Because I'm going to get some Crown Zenith some other way soon enough. So I guess look out for that. But speaking of cards, let's hop right into it.
Yeah, so just going back to April, I was really interested, not in I'm going to buy this no matter what way, but I was really interested in the Pokemon Trading Card Game Classic product they're planning on releasing. I'm a big fan of TCGs doing the kind of 2-player battle box sets where you can just buy one product and be able to play right out the box. I think it's good for people to get into it. It's also good for parents and their child, or siblings, or also just friends, at a nerd birthday party or something.
Yeah.
But yeah. Pokemon Company is selling this as a luxury product. And by luxury, I mean this is something that's worth at MSRP a little over $100 for basically some base set cards.
Yeah.
And I will say it does come with damage counters, a deck box, a 2-player play mat, and those are all nice, but the nostalgia cards were kind of already reprinted in sets Celebrations and other classic sets. So if someone wanted to make this product, a lot of people who already play the game already have the means to kind of create these decks. And then for younger people, it's not appealing because the price point. You could get a those new EX Battle Box decks that come with two decks for like $30 MSRP, and it comes with two decks, counters, and a coin already.
Yeah.
And that's like a third of the price or a fourth of the price of this product. Um,
Also,
I
oh, go
yeah,
ahead. Sorry.
no, it's just I think it's kind of a ripoff, and we see this kind of with Pokemon 151, where like we know nostalgia will sell this product even though it costs like no work on our part, and it's
Yeah.
kind of like disheartening for me.
I think, well, it's a couple of things, right? Because, like, to your point, like, this is a product that's supposed to be that you can just buy a build and battle, 2-player deck and be done with it. But I would also add, you're also getting cards that are currently meta. You can use them, they're legal cards. Um,
Mm-hmm.
if you're playing this trading card game Classic, this is what makes it weird for me because they're not legal for the current meta, but they also don't represent the meta that they're from. A lot of the
Right.
cards that they're pulling from here, sure, there's some from base set, but there's a lot of cards that are like, well, there are a lot of cards that are from different eras,
Right.
um, you know, recent meta, just a huge smorgasbord. It's very odd. I understand even when we're this close to the release date, they have not shown the entire card list right next to each other, because it looks weird to see Wizard of the Coast era cards next to I'm not gonna say not e-reader, but beyond that, like Gen six,
Post 2005 set.
exactly. Like the decks are odd, and I'm not sure exactly why they built it that way. I mean, there was really nothing stopping them from having like just go all the way, right? You could have made an entirely base set jungle fossil style decks based around the original three starters, and you already got nostalgia. The cards look similar to each other. They have the same level of power creep. Um,
Right.
like it's my thing with this product is who exactly is this for besides people who just want the big three in a different uh, you know the original three cards just read label with a different copyright here on it.
Right. And to your point about the cards, I thought it was interesting. They don't have art released for these, but they come with special item cards. So just to get a little more specific, there's a Charizard deck, a Venusaur deck, and a Blastoise deck. The Charizard deck comes with a special item called Blazing Charcoal that specifically boosts Charizard's attack by 100 damage. Then there's the Sun Seed that has the same effect for Venusaur, boosting its attack by 100 damage. And then Blastoise has a 100 power boost from their item as well called Ocean Droplet. And it's it's kind of like a weird, I won't say balancing things. I don't think it's balancing. Like that's a whole completely different discussion. But these decks, to your point, also include EX cards. Like the Blastoise one has Suicune EX. The Venusaur one has Lugia EX. And the Charizard one has Ho-Oh EX. And they seem to be different iterations. I didn't get to read the card text because they haven't been officially released. But these decks are kind of like just this strange hodgepodge of like, is this a collector's item? Is this meant to be played by people who are nostalgic? There are cards that aren't really nostalgic. There are new cards being made. Like, who's the intended audience? In the video, it's two people dressed up in like dress clothes
Yeah,
playing in a mansion.
it's some people who live out in Sears Tower, the top of Sears Tower is like, yes, honey, let us engage in a game of our old trading card days. Like, who
Yeah,
is this? Let's.
yeah, and I don't know if you've seen even the peripherals for damage counters and the coin flip thing, but it's like cones that you stack on top of each other for damage counters.
Yeah,
And there's this like, um, it's I don't know, it's like an orb or something. It's like you roll a metal ball into this like Beyblade arena, and depending on if it goes into a certain hole,
that's the
that's the
coin
heads or
flip.
tails.
Yeah, which, by the way, I would say, you know, it'd be nice if they offered that kind of thing for like competitive scene instead of just.
Right.
I mean, rolling a dice is fine, but like those are things that would be useful for the TCG competitive scene. I don't know why it's in this thing, but like so like they have said directly that this is posed as a luxury item. We know that.
Mhm.
I I'm just not seeing for the parts that are like the deck is interchangeable, right? So you can use a different deck if that's the issue because this deck is doing something we don't know what it's doing, but it looks like it's utilizing EX. It's trying to bump up the power of the original three cards, who still only
Mhm.
have 100 and 120 HP. So you
Right.
know, but that's whatever. You can just use a meta deck if you want to play with your friends on this. But then you're just left with the cones and
The
the
sleeves, the two
sleeves,
player mat.
and yeah, in the mat. Which, by the way, looking at the mat, I guess you have to see it in person, but this seems very annoying to play with. Um,
Yeah,
uh,
because it's like an elevated surface, right?
yeah, right. So like you got to mess with it. You can't obviously you're not going to rest your arms on it or anything, but like it is a little bit uncomfortable to have to raise your hand higher just to get to your deck and everything. Because no matter where you're going
Hmm.
to sit it on, it's going to be an extra couple of inches up. It's I think it's just an awkward thing, and I personally think the only people who are going to buy this are the scalpers and the collectors who just want the Charizard, Venusaur, Blastoise, and I'm going to assume the art for the Ho-Oh EX and Lugia EX, if those are even new cards.
Right. And that's like, I don't know. I just have the video pulled up now. So it comes in this like briefcase thing, and the competitive player in me is thinking, so the Blastoise deck is just automatically the best deck, right? It has the
Yes.
lowest energy cost, and it hits Charizard for weakness, and Venusaur doesn't hit it for weakness because Blastoise is weak to
and
electricity
Blastoise power
only.
is busted. It's
Yeah, and wasn't
Blastoise.
Blastoise the only one that was decent out of the three anyway?
Well,
Back in the
Venusaur's
day?
is okay. Charizard, no one even talks about it. It's more discard stuff. But Blastoise is like it's just energy acceleration, but you can do it as often as you like. It's like the current meta energy acceleration. Blastoise could fit in as a support in like the current deck competitive scene. Like I believe that because that
With his
power,
Poke Power
yeah, Pokepower
specifically.
is stupid. I don't know if you have it up, but
Yeah, Rain Dance was a deck, like for a long time.
yeah. I mean, doesn't Baxcalibur do the exact same thing right now, or to some form of it?
Yeah. This is just Max Caliber. Except they don't have the restriction. Because remember back in the day, they actually tried and had restrictions on powers. This Pokemon power cannot be used. The Pokemon's asleep, confused, or paralyzed.
That fool's sitting on the bench.
Exactly.
So yeah, Blastoise is clearly the best deck. Worst Pokemon of the three, in my opinion, but you know, best deck for sure. So, not to get too off tangent, sorry.
No, you're good. Yeah, like, just like back to your point about okay, who is this for? I really think this is like a 151 cash grab.
And
It's just a nostalgia. It's a nostalgia product, and I think it can be like really fun, and it would be cool. But some people are predicting, and some leaks in the market say that it's about $275 to $250 just
oh,
based on Polka Beach's leak page,
oh my god,
and you can't justify that for like three starter decks essentially, right?
but you can for Charizard, right? Because I mean, you know what people are gonna do. Like this is these are all gonna go graded. This is the Pokemon Trading Card Game Classic Edition Charizard, and you know, at grade mint 10, it's a Charizard, and it's gonna sell starting bid at like $500 and eventually become a $5,000 card. Like,
Right.
I think that's what, and I only mentioning that because I think that's what they're banking on is people are gonna buy whatever anyway. So
Right.
these scalpers are gonna do it anyway. They're gonna buy this crap, and kind of a blessing though, right? Because I don't think anybody else besides them truly, really, unless you're like a die-hard collector, you have to have this Charizard. those will be only people who are going to get screwed over because they have to have this deck.
Right.
But you know, it's not a in a normal world. This is not a good product, but because of just the hype train, I guess this will be bought up, and we're gonna see the three cards they've shown off. The only three, I guess, besides Professor's research.
No, in the trailers, while they're shuffling their decks, like the Charizard deck has Pikachu in it.
Oh, man.
OG Pikachu with Gnaw attack.
Of course they put in the Charizard deck.
Yeah, we know y'all want this.
We know what y'all here for.
Um, I guess something that could be interesting but also unfortunate if they make those three EX Pokemon, Lugia, Ho-Oh, and Suicune legal, assuming that they're good. Um, Basically, if you want those cards, even at one copy, that you're down like $250, right? If they don't
Yeah.
release it into their
Yeah,
products,
you're right.
which they very much could do.
Yeah. No, they're totally in their power to do it. The only thing, even if they like, that's kind of awkward. Like, how do you release three cards? Right? You could do it through those collection or those I guess EX boxes. Yeah, but
Yeah,
you know, yeah. To your point, they could just not do that, and you'd be stuck. If like Lugia EX has any type of power like it did in the last meta, then yeah, you're just boned. I'm not, and unless you want to fork over almost $1,000 to have. No, you want to fork over more than $1,000 to have your four copies. So that
okay,
is
hold on. I found what I was looking for. So there are a few other things. In this classic deck, the Blastoise and Suicune EX deck have base set Mewtwo. They have in the Charizard and Ho-Oh deck, they have what is this? What is the PC card? What's the
uh,
card where you play it and you can choose what cards to put back in your deck and add back
Pokegear
as many
or
as
computer search.
computer search is in the Charizard and Ho deck. Um, and then randomly the Venusaur and Lugia deck they have Chansey.
Oh, the Venusaur deck is goaded, but if I had the choice between the decks and it was just the deck, I would buy. I get that one. Seems like a safe
Yeah,
bet. You get a good card. Venusaur's kind of whatever. You get Chansey. Just good cards. I don't need to be
Lugia
as.
seems to be the best out of the X's too.
Wait, have they already shown it? Or
Yeah. So Lugia EX, obviously normal type, 230 HP, two colorless energy. His first attack, 30 damage. Search your deck for a basic energy and attach it to this Pokemon, then shuffle your deck. And then Arrow Break, three colorless energy, deals 200 damage but does 30 damage to itself. Weak to lightning, resist fighting. Fighting resistance, I assume, is meaningless in this closed three deck meta. And the only lightning Pokemon so far is Pikachu. Um, Ho-Oh, 220 HP. This is in Charizard deck. For one fire energy, attach up to two basic energy cards from a discard pile to this Pokemon, to your Pokemon any way you like. And then for four energy, deal 180 damage. During your next turn, this Pokemon can't attack.
this card
So
sucks.
horrible. Yeah.
This card. Okay, we're good there.
And then Suicune, 220 HP. Ability, if this Pokemon has any water energy, it has no retreat cost. And then for three colorless energy, this attack does 30 more damage for each water energy attached to this Pokemon. So it's 60 plus.
Oh,
So
this. I mean, it's not.
Blastoise clear winner.
Yeah. I mean, even like if Sheehan Pal continues to be like a usable deck, there's just more support for it. So easily can be brought in. I just saw. Oh yeah, yeah. This is people are gonna grade the shit out of these cards. Um,
Do you see these? Like,
yeah.
um, dang it. That's what I was gonna say. So the rarity that they're using, assuming that these pictures are accurate, this is just the celebrations cards without the celebration stamp.
Right.
Like this is the same sparkle effect and rarity on the borders.
Yeah, but that Charizard from Celebrations, people are chasing that one anyway. And now it doesn't have the thing on it, so it's even harder. Well, it's even more. I guess it's a nicer card to have because it is. There's no dumb stamp on it. So, I mean, I think it's. I don't know. I would have felt worse if it had a different logo around it. So,
Yeah.
I I don't know. I'm just trying to keep this as just an item and not like a complete money grab from the Pokemon Company. But it's looking to be the case because I don't see how else you could, kind of shape it to be. I will say at the very least, based on those descriptions for the EX cards, they are not like meta defying. But
Right. Absolutely.
you know, who knows? What if? Because we haven't gotten our new series gimmick for Scarlet and Violet, so
Yeah.
I can see Lugia coming back and doing something. Maybe I can definitely see Suicune, just because it's a water type that's has all colorless energy, so you can throw it at any deck. That's feasible.
Including Lost Box. Because people already run like one or two water energy for Radiant Greninja snipes.
Yep.
So
Yeah. So it's all there. I am hoping that I hope this isn't $300 because that is ridiculous.
it is. It is. I was looking for it while we were talking. The Japanese product will cost 3,500 yen, so about $275.
Oh
It
man,
will be available via lottery starting in February.
that's typical Japan. Japan, they have to do it that way because they're just not going to be making too much. They're not going to make it a whole lot of product for that. But that does at least say that this will be limited print for US as well. Like not everyone can just go out and buy one. So
That's interesting because I and maybe I'm just like wrong to assume this. I think that they're gonna make expansions for this, and this will just be like a luxury format of some sort. Because I can't see them printing this like one time and leaving it.
I I mean I don't disagree. I just think that this it's like okay, it's like when you have your binder open right and you open someone's binders with random cards all over it, right? Like, there's no rhyme or reason of eras or um, type of Pokemon, the trainer cards. Like these styles kind of clash, and maybe it's because I
Yeah,
didn't like collect evolutions or anything like that. So maybe it's just like totally normal for everybody else. But like seeing this, what is this? The Sunseed card art next to Venusaur or Professor Oak
yeah,
is like, come on,
jarring.
yeah, it's jarring. It doesn't look good, but I guess in a sense, when I think about it though, I guess you could replace Theme Deck with this
Oh,
for
I
a
didn't think about
premium for a
that.
premium price.
Hey, hey, bro, you trying to play luxury format? Yeah, man.
Shit.
Let me get my proxy
Hey,
cards.
they made my deck for me.
Oh man, yeah. Yeah, yeah, just like my closing thoughts on it. I can't see a lot of good coming from this. I think it's a cool idea conceptually, but um, this company will see the money they get from it and the demand for it, and that's all they'll see. Not like any harm that it could do to the game or those who would be interested in playing it.
Yeah, but I think with their current track record with the TCG, that's I think they're fine with that.
Yeah, yeah.
Which leads us right into our next story, actually. With yeah, you know about the Pokemon TCG Live client that we currently have?
I can't get into it half the time, so yeah, I guess I do know a bit about it.
The one that doesn't let you practice with the current meta.
Yeah, I don't even know what the Spiritomb everyone's talking about is good does.
Okay, by himself he sucks. By the way, I've read his effect, not good. But again, I don't know what the deck's supposed to do either because I can't play it either. So But for you who don't know, the Pokemon TCG Live client rolled out a couple months ago to basically it doesn't work. Some cards are broken. It functions, but it doesn't work very well. The main concern is that there's a lot of cards that have potential to be in the competitive scene as for play, and where TCG, the online TCG player, has been seen as like a way to, as a tool to like practice decks and everything. It doesn't quite have all the functionality to do that. The main thing is that some cards you just can't play because they're bugged out, so you can't use them. Basically, it's been a mess. A lot of people complain about it. I mean, you can go on YouTube and see people complain about it all the time, or hear the horror stories about the beta, which I personally think we're still in. But hey, I use those deck sleeves for a reason, bro. We are still in beta. We will never get out. But
no one working. Yeah.
But a small tag team of some unexpected heroes decided to rise up to the occasion and offer an alternative. Well,
It's true heroes.
well, we'll see. So they are calling it Twin Leaf GG, an alternative to Pokemon TCG Live, led by the well-renowned, at least successful YouTuber Dan DTM. I'm just gonna dox him. Daniel Robert Middleton. But
In jest, his name is on his profile
yes,
picture and all
his
his
name is
social media,
public. He is well aware that it's
including
out
his
there.
YouTube. Yeah.
Yes, it's all out
Disclaimer.
there. Yes, I did not find this man. He is famous. Please.
He is doing a good work.
Yeah. So, successful YouTuber, makes a lot of content for other crowds, not me. The other day, I want to say, let's pull it up real quick. July. Yep, July. Yep, nope, not even close. June 13th of this year, he came to Twitter with an inquiry about the TCG client and if there was a possibility to make an in-browser Pokemon TCG sim, like limitless, but not, well, with some more flair, I'll say. Limited's not crap. It's not great. So came with the proposition like, does anyone know how we can build this? I'm definitely looking forward to funding it. Please come to me with your ideas. And once that kind of got out, there was some news. People were kind of talking about, hey, maybe it can be a thing. We now have a small relatively, a team of some, apparently from my research, some well-renowned folks who know what they're doing to begin building this client out. Names include Jake Gearhart, a programmer, a developer of the PokeGear app, which is a pretty popular deck builder that goes all the way back. I mean, the entire card library, database is pretty much included in that app. So, good news for that. And he's also a competitor as well in Pokemon TCG. We have Joe Myerscough, probably pronouncing his names wrong, but co-founder Jarrett Grimes, our developer, also competitor Charlie Lockyer, another competitor, a writer for Poke Beach, so well-established social media platform, co-founder as well of Twin Leaf. Yeah, I mean, it's a team of 5 people currently, and it sounds like they're at least in the planning phase for this project. If you go to the website right now, you're not going to see anything but a couple of cards. But those cards kind of do lead into some of my theories about the prospects of this project, but I kind of just going to open the floor about how do we feel about this whole thing.
So I think this is great. So not really a side tangent, but a side tangent. But online simulators that force you to learn how the game works functionally, so you're a better player in person, I'm very much for, because I learned how to play Yu-Gi-Oh on the Yu-Gi-Oh equivalent of this, of Dueling Network, renamed to Dueling Book, and it's been renamed a couple times. But these fan-made live simulators are just so important to get people to learn game mechanics and become better players to play at in-person events, which keeps the community alive. So for Pokemon to have one would be huge. And I think it would actually be a lot better than the alternative of I hope I hope one of my cards doesn't get bugged, or I hope a current meta card doesn't get bugged. Otherwise, I cannot practice against this deck and learn the interactions and like counterplay strategies and such. So
Yeah.
I think this is great, and just like you said on the website, it shows a lot of older cards like Sun and Moon era stuff, and some even from Gen 6 like Mega Pokemon.
Hmm.
Just uploading these libraries and allowing people to play older formats can keep your game alive longer, but also develop new fans who are like, oh, I really want to play. Oh, it's only modern events. I guess I'll try modern events, which is like a good thing. And if Pokemon Company can't get their own simulator to work, not saying they never will, but there's just been a lot of issues since they switched off of the original TCG client. They can't get it to work. Fans need something else. Fans and competitors need something else. So they're filling a need.
Yeah. And I 100% agree. I think it's filling a need, but to your point about these older formats, I think it also presents another opportunity because, you know, it's hard for a number of reasons to go back and to play those formats because they don't, you know, on the old client, you can go play back all the way to Heart Gold and Soul Silver. It's pretty far back,
Mm-hmm.
but there's still several, like, there's still like a decade of the development of the game that you cannot access in a digital sense through the old client. Delta Species, original EX, Gym Leader era, even base set era and stuff like that. Those eras kind of cannot be played casually anymore because the company does not offer those formats. So what I hope Twin Leaf does is provide the entire library. That's a big ask, but the entire library so that we can have these formats, play these formats, and try to see like what it was like to play in these eras. Because like I go back and try to look at these videos, like the history of the game, and see like what was the meta deck during that time, what was an overpowered card during that time, and it's easy to talk about it and be like, oh, this card was really good in the meta because blah blah blah, but to see how it played in the entire scope, right? Because you don't really talk about. There's not always going to be to talk about well, what card beat it or what card, what cards did it, what made it good. You can only go within that scope of just discussion. You have to actually play the game to kind of see that. And you know, we've talked about it a bunch of trying to go back and play these metas. And I mean, you're not going to play it physically because
Mm-hmm.
you got to shell out, Yu-Gi-Oh money to build a deck for a dead format.
Right. Life savings to play with your one other friend who might be interested via
Exactly.
like webcam, probably.
Exactly. And I mean, just think about it. I don't know why Pokemon doesn't do that. I can understand because like there's so many cards. Like it's hard to kind of program all that. I mean, I know it is because they can't do it currently for what they've got in TCG. PTCG Live. Yeah, it sucks to say. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Doesn't roll off the tongue.
Yeah, but like if they can't do it, to have another team come up and be like, "Hey, like we're building this out so you can play whatever format you want." I think that's huge because it gets anything gets more people back into the game or at least interested to learn like a certain format because you see that with like Smoggin, right? You can go back and play Gen 2 meta if you want to, and they'll give you 6 random Pokemon that are meta relevant or a team that's built around meta relevant Pokemon. They throw you in there. You can play a game like that just to kind of get a feel of like what the meta was like back then. You know, that would be awesome if Pokemon could do the same for their trading card game, or if someone can step up and do it for them. That to me, that's like would make this trading card game much more interesting because I mean the current meta is fine, right? Like it's blooming, it's booming, it's doing good. But having more things to do is always a good thing, right? More is always good for these sort of things, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm kind of just as we've been talking about this, I've been kind of thinking, and this is, I guess, the negative pessimist side of me. Do you remember Pokemon Prism, the ROM hack that got canceled?
Oh yeah. What about it?
after like 8 years of development, I'm thinking it's really, and I hate for this to happen, but I'm thinking that this simulator, for one reason or another, whether it be pride or money or players leaving TCG current, um, using Twin Leaf, I can see Pokemon Company sending a cease and desist about this.
Yeah, I think
I don't know if you, I don't know, considered that potentially.
it's been thrown around a lot. I mean, even if you go to the comments of the original post, people are like, "Why did you post this on Twitter? Nintendo or Pokemon's going to come after you for this. You shouldn't. You should be doing this under wraps and release it. Blah blah blah." Um, it's the risk you take, right? Because
Right.
how else? I mean, sure, he could have just DM'd some people or just gotten around, but hey, who do you know who I can talk to about this and all of that? But I mean, we haven't heard anything yet. Do I think a cease and desist is going to happen? Probably at some point, but just to use the Prism example, um, it took a lot to get the attention of these, especially for Pokemon. So Nintendo's a little different. Nintendo will go after anybody; they don't care. If they hear about you, they're going to put a gun to your head. It's within, more often than not, they're going to do that.
Mhm.
But Pokemon, it seems the track record tends to be that if it becomes a big enough deal, they will come after you because I don't know if you know, because I was watching Prison's development for the longest times. There was a Twitch channel that the developer would go to because I think the owner of the Twitch channel like was friends with him or something or knew a guy for the developer, but the developer was in there more often than not. So I got some like I had more details about what was going on for the development of Prism than someone who just was barely not really paying attention. But what killed Prism was the reveal trailer because the reveal trailer had gotten almost I can't remember the view count, but it was a large amount. It was like very popular. It was trending on YouTube for a while because this game was doing so many new things and cool things with the Gen 2 era engine, which is so popular and everything like that. So
Right.
that's when Pokemon stepped in and gave the cease and desist. Was when I was like, hey, this game is gonna do great things. Here's this big trailer. Start building hype for everything. It was on a level of like an actual product. So
Right.
I think for Twin Leaf TCG, right now, that will not happen. They will probably not get a cease and desist anytime soon.
Okay.
Once it becomes a popular thing that starts drawing people away, kind of what you said, drawing people away from their client, then they'll step in. But I think at that point, well, I guess it's a little different because at that point it's just a live service, then it'll die, I think.
Hmm.
But if the pieces are still there for local stuff, because the source code's out there, it's out there. You can't remove it entirely. You just can't have I guess a public server at that point. But then at that
Hmm.
point, we'll just have a game simulator, which is what we
Right.
want.
Exactly.
So I
Because I don't know.
oh go ahead.
Oh, go on.
Oh, I was
So I
like,
don't know if you know. Yeah, I'm just gonna keep going. Sorry. So, did you know about Dueling Books when Dueling Book got cease and desist by Konami?
no, I remember the one time I played on there and someone got mad, didn't know the rules, and I won.
That's a story for another day.
Death
But
Banks is goaded.
yeah, shout out to Ice Barriers for our Yu-Gi-Oh fans. But so when Dueling Book got a cease and desist, the I think it was 3 months after or something, Yu-Gi-Oh Master Duel got announced.
Yeah,
Or one of Yu-Gi-Oh's like they had like a large Konami direct or whatever where they had a bunch of Yu-Gi-Oh stuff shown off. And that same year, there was a cease and desist for Dueling Book. And it was like obviously a huge deal because the Dueling Book community has always been like very much alive. Most people are anti-simulator because they have tons of bugs. Because Yu-Gi-Oh is a messy game that has way too many rulings that are like on a card-to-card basis. Not a very uniform game. So Dueling Book got a cease and desist. They basically sat on their hands and had like a new quote unquote face for it, a new owner, and they literally just ported everything over to this website called Dueling Nexus. and it functions the exact same. It looks the exact same, except everything blue is now purple.
Hey,
And it's alive to this day. Like I still go on Dueling Nexus sometimes and play. But with Pokemon though, I feel like they'd be a lot more vigilant with shutting down a simulator like this, just because they don't want people to not use their own simulator, whether it's good or bad. Like they really don't care, because every time you log in, if you log in TCG Live right now, there's like 5 or 6 cards banned that are like meta relevant, which is horrible to actually practice for larger events. Obviously,
yes.
please hear us. So just something to consider. Like this has happened before, but I think Pokemon and Nintendo, by extension, are a lot more vigilant. And I honestly do worry about the future of this product. Well, not even product, the future of this simulator.
Well, and I agree. So then the question becomes, why do it anyway? And I think, and obviously I'm not in these developers' heads or anything like that. I think some people, bless their hearts, but the idea of if we push the envelope of what we want and we do it ourselves, surely the Pokemon Company will look at it and be like, wow, maybe we should do those quality of life things or the bare minimum we're looking for or that our fans are looking for. I've seen the light. I might be giving you the cease and desist, but I will take your ideas and use them. And sounds great, right? They'll surely do that. That's
Pretty
the
ideal, Sandra.
well, I don't know, man. Like it's gonna be a very cool 3 months while it's out, right?
Yeah, and like let's be honest, like those 3 months can generate a lot of hype in older formats, and fan outcry is so powerful nowadays with social media. Like I would love to play like a theme deck format, or like play some of like the Sun and Moon formats, or even like some of the classic formats, because I don't know if you remember, uh, there was a video and article release for one of the championship winners from one of the first Pokemon tournaments held in America. Talked about how he found this new broken deck that people never played during his heyday, but he found it in like recent years, like, hey, in base format or whatever the original format was called, this like Lickitung stun deck that was like apparently unbeatable. And there's these awesome meta development with like modern deck building mindset, um, plus a format that has since passed, because these formats are only here for a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
It was just really interesting that there are some things that we'll never get to explore because we don't have access to that card pool anymore. We don't have access to the minds of like a certain set of players until after that era has passed. Like some of the new players who are pros today have never even like seen a base set card in person, you know?
Yeah.
So these older formats don't get these new deck building twists, and vice versa, where some of these older pros don't get to like develop new decks and like the strategies that we'll never see develop after a format rotates out.
Yeah. And I mean that's always gonna be a loss, right? Because it's a loss to the company because you have less, you know, players coming in. It's a loss to the game itself because everyone becomes like kind of cookie cutter because there's not enough time to kind of look at the whole picture of the thing and everything. Um, it needs to, I think it needs to evolve past what we have now. We, you know, this I think this service of having just everything available, um, it should be. I don't want to be like Yu-Gi-Oh where everything is legal, but it would be nice if everything was kind of open ended, like on the table to play. So like, oh, if you want to play this format, these cards are legal from this period to this period. You can play these cards together.
Right.
Like why can't unlimited actually mean unlimited? You know.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I don't care about power creep. If I had just give me access to all the cards, so that at least for the people who are gentlemaning to these rule sets, can have that option. More options are always good. So I know they can't hear us because we don't even make 10 views per video yet. But like I think a lot of people share that same sentiment as us, where it's like this should just be available from the get go. Like,
Exactly.
nothing's stopping you. You definitely have the money too. By the way, I know I said earlier the servers to manage all these cards. Yeah, I was throwing you a fucking, you know, just a
More
little,
than a bone.
yeah, a whole
A
skeleton
whole
for that one.
skeleton.
Yeah,
No way. No way.
I'm taking it back. So yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I hope for the best. Um, more likely than not, this will be taken down, but I think it needs to be at least offered, just for the world to kind of see that, hey, it's not just Arceus, VMAX, and it's not just all of the it's just not the current meta that matters. Like some of these other cool, if this meta isn't for you, there's stuff in the past that was really cool and did its own thing. Just like how VGC does it, or how Smogon does it anyway.
Right.
So,
oh man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll
So at the end of the day, I will play the simulator.
yes,
Like,
future developments. I'm looking for. I will be watching it and waiting for it to come out because I'm super down to try to see what the fuck Delta Species was like.
yeah, like all skepticism aside, like I would love to just try some of these formats that we tangibly cannot even like lay a finger on some of these cards because shop owners will end it all. They will Second Amendment us if we try and get all the Delta Species cards.
It is impossible. I started collecting them and I realized that they're. Well, I didn't know that every evolution at the time got a Delta Species, so I
Good
think
luck.
I think my hunt is over.
yeah.
I'm throwing in the towel now. It's just not happening.
It was well fought.
It was a well fought, unknowledgeable battle.
yeah. Well, I guess with Twin Leaf aside, if you want to keep going with the Pokemon TCG stuff, was there anything from 151 or Obsidian Flames you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, so Obsidian Flames, we recently got more details on the card list. We had predicted that this was going to go the route of similar, during Sword and Shield era, during a similar time frame, they would come out with a new set that would just be a bunch of, starter deck stuff, or just a bunch of crap that doesn't actually align with each other. And lo and behold, Obsidian Flames is mostly just starter decks from Japan slapped together into one set and don't really have a lot of good stuff. That being said, in a similar vein, there's always a diamond in the rough, right? That's something you think can come out later and be actually a useful card. So I was looking through on Justin Basil's website for the City and Flame card translations.
That's Justin Basil.
Yeah, dude. I don't know how he gets his information running so fast, but bless up to the website. I don't know who actually is holding it. It might even be his name, but
also maybe Justin.
Yeah, but there are some interesting cards in here, right? Like they might not be meta defined, but I can see some fun decks being made. We have Masquerain from Snow Hazard, who has for one colorless, you can flip a coin till you get tails, and for each heads, discard a random card from your opponent's hand. Like, sure, it's a coin flip, not very good, but for a stage one prizer to have the potential to drain your opponent's entire hand, pretty good. As usual with hey, this is my crap deck building hat put it on right here. If you run a Lost Zone deck and run the stadium where every discard is actually into the Lost Zone, you could start milling decks this way with the one prizer, potentially.
Yeah, I think it'd be a fun idea. I don't think it'd be amazing,
No,
by any means, but just with the way the format is going, I haven't seen any good single prize anything exist. Like United Wings is arguably the most consistent, and it's
not
probably the most inconsistent rogue deck currently.
Oh yeah,
if that tells you anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there are a lot of fun cards coming out in Scarlet Violet era. Like crazy coin flip effects, weak armor rouges. What the hell? And even I wanted to like kind of hone in on the Decidueye EX.
Yeah, and I feel like I'll let you go, but I feel like everyone's kind of been looking at this card as like this actually might be good.
Yeah, so just like a little bit of history, people thought Decidueye GX from Sun and Moon era was trash because it wasn't meeting damage threshold, but this combined with other Decidueye GXs made a pretty comparable deck for the format at the time. My issue with this Decidueye EX in Scarlet Violet era is I don't see it doing that because we're about to go into a format where the new Charizard EX that's Dark type and weak to grass will be at some of the top tables. But this 130 threshold, like hitting for 260 is not
No.
enough.
Mm-mm.
But I will say the 30 damage on bench is something that has always been relevant, like hitting stuff on bench, like chipping away at stuff. And then its ability where once during your turn, if this Pokemon's on your bench, switch it with your active opponent, or if this is in the active spot, switch it with one of your bench Pokemon. Could be useful in some situation, but I don't think it'll be useful until better things that benefit from such an action actually come out. Um, but yeah, hitting for 260, it's just crazy that's even coming out of my mouth. It's just like not enough because you're hitting Charizard EX for double damage. But I believe Charizard EX has what 330
340.
HP.
Let me
It
double
has
check.
more than 260.
Yeah, I mean, in this era, and it's looking, it's going. This is how it's always going for the entirety of this era. 280. No one gives a shit about 280 anymore. You got to break 300 plus now.
Yeah,
And but to your point, like the ability for this, the ability is pretty good. The bench damage is pretty good. I think they're also just not. We haven't seen too much like support for EXs specifically yet, so um, we'll see what power creep does to bump that up, that damage up a little bit. Like what's the new choice band? Is that going to be able to do enough damage to kind of break that, or maybe there's a new tool that can come out that supports it. This is a starter deck Pokemon at the end of the day, so um, there's potential for it. Also, not too shabby with its own 320 because
absolutely.
you can definitely take a hit. Like
Hmm.
we're still at the point where most things are not going to be able to do that much damage,
Right.
if anything. When I think about it, um, so definitely a contender. My main thing was the masquerade. To be honest, I was looking at the Victini. I'm collecting Victinis now. Um, it was very odd to see Strafe on this Pokemon. It
I
has
think you skipped something.
what I skip.
190 HP as an EX, a two prizer with 190. Like, what is this? This is
Oh,
like an 8-year-old card.
well, that's
You're
the.
hitting 190, bro.
So this has always been the problem because if you notice, also its attack is complete garbage.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is the. It's funny. It's weird because when Sword and Shield came out, we also got a Victini card with the same problem. No HP. I mean, no sustainability. Does an attack that does not knock out anything. Um, and its first attack is like useful, but not really good unless it's got something else going on. Strafe is good, but it's good on like Urshifu. It's not good here because
Yeah.
190. It's a basic, so I guess you can play it right on the field. Um, some people are claiming that this can be a good card, but like the only thing I can see it doing is if you pair it with the Charizard card that makes every fire energy two to kind of get the ball rolling. It's like an early game cleanup, but at that point your opponent's already losing. So
Right.
this isn't a very, and I know it's not a good card because this starter tech in particular comes with boss's orders.
Oh my
And
god.
every other starter deck does not have boss's orders in it.
It's like they're compensating for how bad Victini is.
Yeah, it's we're talking about older formats. Victini used to be really good. It used to have some really good like first card of the game effects, like card drawing power or giving your teammates boost or letting you flip coins again if the coin flip wasn't what you wanted. Like all really cool stuff, and now it's just been regulated to, I don't know, just throw some junk on it and call it a day. Um, so, and I don't know why this card. Because I was watching some other people as well.
Exist.
Well, yeah, it exists because people are saying this card could be like good. I'm like, how? Where? Other card? There's literally a card in this set called the Sigui who's doing the exact same thing without having to end your turn after switching. Like
Your attack is my ability, bro.
exactly.
Stop chatting.
So it's just not a good card. That's kind of theme for this entire set, but there's. I was mostly at the single price stuff because we all know the EXs, except for Clefable. Clefable actually has the potential to also be good. I don't know why people aren't talking about that card.
Yeah, I've seen no one talk about it, and I think it's getting overshadowed just because there's already a better Psychic deck. Like Psychic has so much good stuff.
But isn't
So
that
I feel like people aren't even like looking at this at all.
but isn't that goofy? Because you could just throw it in your Psychic deck. You know,
Yeah,
like so. Its ability is Lunar Zone. Each of your Pokemon that has any psychic energy attached has no retreat cost. That's pretty good.
yeah.
And then Wondrous Moon does 170 damage, and then you can move any number of your psychic energy from your Pokemon to your other Pokemon any way you like. Now, granted, isn't this just supporting the current Gardevoir deck?
So it definitely could. Like moving energy around is awesome. Just that freedom to do that. But I think if this were to be used, I don't know, because a lot like Gardevoir doesn't mind having energy in the discard pile.
True.
So it'd be like a tech card more than anything because they can add energy from the discard pile, I believe, with Curlia's passive ability. Um,
Believe so.
Yeah, so I think this could be a detriment, but I think in some cases, like it could be like I don't know if someone's running like Crushing Hammer or something. This could be important, but having no energy cost to retreat is never a bad thing, but it can mess up some forms of the Gardevoir EX deck, in my opinion.
Is it because that bench is already kind of full too? To
Yeah,
just
Gardevoir EX is like zero real estate because usually they're dropping like if one Gardevoir is in active position, they have two Curlias on bench at least with one Cresselia
yeah,
to move around damage from Shining Resonance or Shining Arcane or whatever that damages itself to move energy or put energy on Pokemon. So I don't know. I'd like to see people experiment with it. I'm not a big Psychic guy myself, but
no,
I don't think this has no place in a type of Gardevoir EX deck. But that deck is so good and versatile that this could just show up and be very useful.
yeah, absolutely. All right, so some contention on a Clefable, but I raise you Houndstone EX. All right,
People will play a deck around this.
people will. This is big Unga deck energy. All right, you run the Houndstone EX. You got, and this set also has plenty of dark types of discard cards. you know, and if you don't like a dark type, you can grab Tyranitar Terra type to do the same. Just start just discarding cards. Get your discard pile as fat as your deck, and then start rolling in with 260 HP, but doing. For 10, so you got 10 Pokemon to discard pile, you're doing 260.
And then you realized if it was 20 for every, we'd have something to talk about.
Yeah.
But people will try and make this work. Like there were decks like if you remember the Pokemon Go Gyarados deck where you wanted all your Magikarps in the grave, not in the grave, in the discard pile.
Yeah.
And you with Choice Band, you could break that threshold and you could one shot everything that came out pre Silver Tempest, really. Um it didn't see like a lot of success. Like it would do well at like locals or like smaller events. Maybe a regional or two would get like top 64, but
Yeah.
I mean these decks are kind of hard. But just because the damage threshold is so hard to reach, like some Pokemon can immediately start hitting you for that like 280.
Yeah.
Houndstone needs you to set up, and there's no Was it Glimwood Tangle? No, I don't remember. There's no way to like mill yourself really well currently.
No, not really. Unless
Oh
you.
wait, actually, I take that back. 151 Onyx in the Psychic deck.
Oh my god, it's crazy.
Yeah, yeah, that's something the Psychic decks usually don't have though.
I will say. I mean, this is gonna just real brief. Like, are they gonna like phase out rare candy? 'Cause I was thinking about it. It's like this is a stage one EX, so it's not like it's slow to get on the board. But with rare candy, it's a non-factor. You can get to stage two. You don't even have to run your stage ones anymore. Um,
Yeah,
so I'm wondering if they're gonna figure out a way to do that because I think that's gonna be an issue for some of these EXs later down the road. Because you can get to your 300 plus threshold with just an item card. You can very easily find.
I
So
think they're okay with it though. Um, yeah, I like, people are running rare candy. Some people even like teching into the Gardevoir deck and stuff.
yeah, I don't know.
I
Just
can't see them banning it.
but I don't. We'll see how it plays out. But I'm just now noticing like why do you need a stage one EX? Because you're just a V. Well, not really. You're more than a V, but it's you're not hitting the big boss energy that the other like the stage two EXs are. At least not for most of them. I'll say. Um, but yeah, just an observation. I guess.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
that's pretty much it though. Yeah, because like there's some stuff that maybe later on will be useful. I mean, some like
dude, I don't know. Like, I know why they pushed 151 over this. This is such a weak set,
well,
as from a collector standpoint and competitive.
hey, wait, before that's what I was trying to get to. Check out Caesar. Um, for one metal
Field set.
energy, does 50 damage or 10 plus 50 damage for each of your opponent's Pokemon play that has an ability. That's not bad.
Yeah, no, 50, like that's really good.
Yeah, especially in the
So
current meta, like everything's running an ability now.
so what? This is your anti-loss box tech card.
Yes, this is my new Haymaker deck.
A man can dream.
Hey, for those who don't know, I run the metal types. Steel, Steel is my
So you're
deck.
running Reverum? You're that Reverum EX
No, I'm
player?
playing one prizes, bro. I'm playing this in the mall while.
Oh my god. God bless you.
Hey,
This I don't know. I don't know.
but to your point, yes, I think this is going to be an extremely weak set. Um, it will, it'll just exist. I think, to be honest, and it sucks to say, but well, we're getting right. We're getting this, and we're getting 151, and the art from 151 looks really, really nice. And just from a collector standpoint, the art from 151 looks really, really nice. And the art from this set, man, those secret rares better be banging. Because,
And that's the thing. I don't think they even have faith in this set because they aren't revealing anything for it. They're not pushing anything for it. I haven't seen people opening even the Japanese version of this set. Like this seems like just to like here, man, dang, like here are these cards we didn't give you a month ago. Here, bro, you want Dark Charizard here, bro? Dang,
shit,
take it.
shit. Get out of here. Come back next month. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I think that's it. I will say though that to your point, people aren't opening it is mostly the starter decks, and I've watched an opening of that, and man, it is not a good time to open that shit. It is.
um,
It's just the decks.
just shout out to another bad armorage and
Oh yeah.
just like a lingering thought. Do you think with Terra types we're going to see more dual type decks in competitive?
I I don't think they're shooting them out fast enough to support that. Um,
Okay.
I think it would be nice to kind of see a huge change like that. where we're now running different types, not just here's Radiant Greninja. Um, I think that's the plan in the future though, right? Like I feel like you can't, because right now what is Terra types, even like different Terra types doing for these Pokemon? Not a lot. Like we haven't really seen the real breakout for the gimmick.
Right.
So I'm going to say yes. I think that's where they're going with it. Um, but they also could do something where it's like you can have a boss monster do something different than what your deck usually would do because now it's in a type that can fit the bill. Um, but I feel like that's so weak because like if you look at Tyranitar EX, like yeah, it's electric type, but it still requires fighting energy, and it's just doing Tyranitar things, which doesn't really synergize with an electric deck.
Right.
But the alternative is now you have Tyranitar, Terra type electric, and a fighting type deck. I mean, what does that really do for you other than if you're fighting against a deck that's mostly, that hard counters you in the first place, which isn't like a common thing.
Yeah,
So,
I guess the only thing that really sets a precedence for me to even think about this is the Charizard EX. When on evolution, it puts fire energy out on your field. Um, it's interesting because Dark has traditionally been weak to like grass in the TCG,
yeah.
and obviously your other fire Pokemon will likely like have like be able to beat grass types over for weakness. So
Yeah.
like it can do this cool like almost like weapon triangle type thing during matches
Yeah.
where oh it's better to attack with my or have my Dark Charizard out in this situation, but it's better to have my insert good fire Terra type EX we're missing currently because this format's whack in the future deck. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
like I don't know. Some people might even experiment with the Arcanine EX, which in my opinion sucks. But
No, it
like
sucks.
there's no good grass deck right now either. But in the future, I think Terra type formats could be really interesting. I hope they are more liberal with the Pokemon that they give Terra types to, and really like change how TCG's played. Because right now, it is Thing is its primary type, but the Terra type is just an EX.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm thinking the set after these next few, we're going to get really into it with that because how you're phrasing it is that makes more sense what they're planning on doing. Focus on the boss monsters being able to counteract um, your opponent's deck or your strategy, and let you have more leeway or flexibility with your deck. Um, so we'll see. I think the next set after 151, we're going to see some actual support for it, um, which I look forward to. I want to see what they're going to do for this series. Hopefully, just don't make the number bigger, which they've already done.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, they had to, right? Because it was just a formula by the end of Gen 8. So they had to, like, all right, let's break that, get that done with. Now let's actually do something different. So
Yep. Next year's 400 HP Pokemon. Can't wait for Gen 10.
I can't. Gen 10 is going to be a complete cluster.
Pokemon only does 260? Ew.
That's only half my health. Cheryl.
Yeah, it's kind of for Obsidian Flames. That's kind of all I have in terms of thoughts on it. I am more so excited for what they announce after it, and
Yes.
that's it.
I think the entire world is now on that. We're all hyped for 151, and then Obsidian Flames, like, oh, cute. Gonna grab my Charizard and move on with my life. Thank you. Have a good day. And then we'll get new stuff finally. So, looking forward to that. We already kind of talked about 151. We're kind of cutting it on short on time, so we can. We don't have to really. I think we can skip that for today. And yeah, I think that'll do it for Pokemon for TCG for Pokemon TCG anyway. Did you want to briefly talk about are a good actual good game, sort of.
Yeah. Digimon TCG. So, it's funny. All week, people have been wanting to schedule things on the release date for this set. And in my back of my mind, I was like, why do I feel like I have something to do on that day? And the thing I had to do is open two boxes of Digimon TCG. Sorry, just for the huge 180, everyone. But Digimon TCG versus Royal Knight BT13 set. Current favorite trading card game, by the way. But man, this is just it's a huge fan favorite set. They have a lot of stuff from a lot of the series, but primarily, obviously, like the Royal Knights. But there's also some Ghost Game stuff. There is some stuff from Cross Wars. There's some stuff from Data Squad, and this art is just amazing. For those who are watching this in video format, oh man, just look at these beautiful parallel rares of Gallantmon and Omnimon, and all the Royal Knights get one. And this is going to be a really expensive deck to play at high rarity, but I'm super stoked for this set. I could open any box of this and not get any of my chase cards and still get value from this set.
Wow, this is. I didn't even realize how they usually don't do this many. They usually don't do this many rares. This is crazy.
Yeah, they went in on this set. Like and it's funny because some of these deck archetypes, for those who don't know, Digimon TCG it's kind of straying away from this, but for as long as it's been out, it's been an archetype based trading card game. And some of these archetypes got support in the last set that came out, but they're kind of allowing you to play these decks in like very different ways. Like one of the examples is the new Gallantmon that came out.
I was just looking at this.
First off, amazing card. Like
It's so.
it's so good for no reason.
Oh man.
First off, rush, godlike. And then having the effect on play or when digivolving or when attacking. Delete one of your opponent's Digimon. By the way, not once per turn. Delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 6,000 DP or less. If no opponent's Digimon was deleted by this, delete one of the Digimon with 13,000 DP or more. And then his attack's already 13, so he's hitting over anything else in between.
So something is immediately dying, but I think the crazy thing, and they have been supporting. So I think Gallantmon gets like a new card like every other set, but
Yes.
every time it gets a new card, it's not like, oh, this one's kind of bad. No, it's always an improvement over the other one. So one of the issues, quote unquote, um, was that
He plays his deck, boys.
because what?
He plays this deck. That's the quote unquote.
Oh yeah, so I play this deck. It's the most unga bunga deck in the world, and Digimon keeps feeding me every single set. My Gallantmon's a little weak against this Vmon deck. Oh, they made an easy version for my Gallantmon to get played. Thank you. So the last time it was just me, but you could digivolve into Gallantmon from your rookie for free, essentially.
Insane.
Some criteria was there, but yeah, you could play it pretty easily. Insane.
You need a gamer on field. That is
Yes.
not a criteria. Shout out to Takato.
Oh man, I can't believe they didn't limit that shit. So now though, the new Gallantmon's like, you know what, that tamer, that was a pretty hard like setup to get that out there. So instead, if you're so when you play this card from your hand, if you have no Digimon, reduce the play cost by 2 for every 5 total cards in both players' trashes. So it's into the game, you're down. Someone just used an effect to delete, your last Digimon, your other Gallantmon you played earlier. You worked so hard to build it up. So you just slap another one down.
Oh man, I'm so down and defeated. Has 2 of these in hand. Oh. I already know I'm hitting your security twice with Rush. Oh.
I start playing the clip.
Yeah.
Guilmon, I just wish something I could fight with you. Well, you can't, player. Play 2 of me.
Man.
Oh, man.
Yeah, but this set is going to be so good, and I'm going to hate playing against the Royal Knight deck. I think it's kind of bricky sometimes because you're playing a bunch of level sixes and sevens, but oh, this is just such a good set. Collector wise, gameplay wise, they have references to when the Royal Knights appeared and like Frontiers and Cyber Sleuth, and it's really good. And even like their option card for the deck, Royal Knights of the Purge. I think it's called Purge of the Royal Knights in Japanese.
Uh,
Is a reference to the X Evolution movie where these like the three Royal Knights who Yggdrasil sends to basically kill all the Digimon in the Digimon world. So a lot of like small references like that. But it's just interesting uh how they brought back some of like the older artists and stuff to draw like redraw these archetypes that haven't gotten support since like BT2, like Kentaro's Mon or um who's this ugly dude? Numemon, the one that looks like poop,
oh yeah, yeah,
and Sukamon and stuff. Like are they have art from the artists who did Digimon World 1 art and stuff doing some of these cards.
yeah. It's and
So
this isn't a
it's a
knock
lot of
to
good.
other TCGs because like obviously Pokemon does a great job with like the art and everything, and but Digimon is definitely up there as like one of the best. Like they make like it looks good to play this game. Even if you don't have even if you're playing a cheapo hobo set deck without the parallel rares and everything.
Mhm.
Um it's just beautiful.
Yeah, everything's still a full art, you know?
Yeah.
Like
And you pull full arts the entire way through that booster box. Come on.
yeah, you might not like who's the whale Digimon? Womon. It's actually his name, by the way. Womon,
No, I
WHA
thought it was
Mon.
whale mod. Is it actually
I thought it
just
was Whalemon for the longest. It's Womon. Womon is full art, baby. You get the whole whale. So it's just it's such a good game. For anyone who hasn't tried it before, like absolutely please tap in. Like this game's great. It's very beginner friendly. It's very wallet friendly.
extremely?
Um,
I'm about to. Well, actually, yeah, I'm probably tomorrow going to. I think tomorrow I'm going to buy an entire deck, for under for under $10 if the cards are still
yeah,
there. But yes, we
yeah,
talked.
and
Go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say something that makes this TCG a little bit different is they are willing to acknowledge when they balance something improperly, and they are willing to errata cards as well as print different versions of cards. And this, for me, this affects me, Alphamon player here, when I'm not like throwing Gatomon down and passing
Should
with
have picked the Royal
Masamon.
Knight, bud. Sorry.
Um, Alphamon. So Alphamon had this basically this Omni Protection Doru Greymon in its evolution line, and they acknowledged that it was broken as hell, so they banned it or put it to one rather, which severely like weakened and destroyed the validity of the deck. And they reprinted a Doru Greymon that had a softer protection to kind of acknowledge that, hey, we kind of messed up. But because of the way that this game works, it's easy to rebalance and patch up things that are not like fun for other people to play against or play with. And I just love that because other TCGs are just like, nah, you have to deal with this format until it phases out or we print something more broken.
Yep. It's a good time. I've been enjoying it. I've been playing too much recently because other things have taken priority, but it is a grand time, and like he said, like David said, very easy to pick up and play. So get it now while the get's good. It's not like they limit printing either, so I'm sure. I guess the only issue is to find a shop that actually sells it.
Many a road trips, I have come back empty handed. No Digimon loot.
And we eat good where we're at though, so
Yeah, that's really it. The this set comes out on July 21st. Pick it up if you're interested. I won't say this is like a super beginner friendly set, but I think if you are interested in trying to play the game, they have not released a starter deck that would not be good to start with. Yeah, if people are interested, like please leave comments and such. Like I definitely can recommend some things like Parallel Tactician, everyone should play. But um, yeah, this is a lot of beginner friendly product for this game already.
and Bandai Namco wants to reach out for us to help promote, please, we'd be more than happy to. We
Oh,
love your
please. I'd
game.
make a whole channel.
Yeah, we will stop talking about Pokemon at the drop of a hat. We are not loyal. Not in the
No.
slightest, please.
If they ask nicely, I'll email them a picture of me sleeping in my pile of bulk from opening too much Digimon. You have my wallets, Captain.
Absolutely, and mine as well. All right. Well, I think. Well, let's see. I'm looking over our list and notes of things to kind of go over, and
Do you want to go to Unite, or do you want to save that for a future episode?
let's let's save that for a future episode because none of this stuff is coming out anytime soon. For those who are looking to talk about, for us to talk about Unite, we can have an episode focusing on that. I think there's gonna be more interesting things to talk about in the coming weeks anyway. Um, Mostly just the new releases of Pokemon, which aren't coming out in the near future. So, yeah. I guess with that, because we're a little over time, we are going to say our final thoughts. Um, yeah. It's kind of all
It
we.
is. Yeah, and I was gonna say it's just a good time to be a TCG player.
Yeah, there's so much to talk about. So, with that being said, yeah, thank you guys for tuning in again for another extended episode of the Black City Pod. Next week, there'll be more Unite news, and of course, more TCG news, and maybe even some news about Pokemon Sleep. Yeah, actually, I think about it, that game comes out next week, right?
Yeah, you can pre-install it already
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think there'll be more at least to hear about all the bugs and stuff.
on release.
All right, I'll stop. I'll stop.
Typical Pokemon company. Nah, this will happen.
Oh yeah, for sure. My predictions, milk, lukewarm. Not much new news being said there, but we're gonna end it here, guys. Thank you guys for watching and listening, mostly listening. And we will catch you on the next one next week. Black City Pod.
Peace.